What's up, guys? I'm Nigel Washington with BoTV, sitting here with our very first interview, and we're fortunate enough to be seated with the beautiful and talented Amanda Palmer. Thank you so much for having me. We're really appreciative of this. So, in light of your next album coming up, Theater is Evil, could you tell us, like, the people at home, like, a little bit how you got started, what got you into cabaret, like, specifically?
Well, I did a lot of theater as a kid, and have been a songwriter basically since I was little. And I went to college. I went to Wesleyan. I had a terrible time.
College was being. It's not very bad.
I don't know if I would have been happy at any college. It's funny being at Bard, because like right now it's kind of perfect, and I look back and I'm like, oh, if I had gone to Bard, it would have been perfect. But I actually think when I was 18, I just would have been miserable anyway. Yeah. I left school, graduated, and I was a street performer for about, 4 or 5 years, and also did a bunch of other weird jobs. Stripper.
Oh, okay.
Naming and branding consultant.
I
thought up weird names for websites back in the .com boom. I scooped ice cream.
I've done that.
Did coffee. Then, when I was about 24, I met Brian, Big Leon, and he and I started the Dresden Dolls.
Right.
And that was it. Like, my music career started to take off, and the band signed with a major, and we toured and toured and toured and toured. And I mean, that's pretty much it. I've just been a working musician since then. That was about 2000.
What exactly possessed you to come to Bard to work on this next album?
I was possessed by demons. Bard demons.
That's how they got all of this.
Came to me at night and carried me.
Yeah.
No, it was Gideon Lester. Gideon is running the Live Arts Bard and is kind of in charge of the programming here. And he's brand new. This is his first year at Bard, and he wanted to bring in visiting artists to do residencies, and he and I knew each other from the American Repertory Theater back in Boston when he was the dramaturg there, and we have just always stayed in touch. And I was gonna just rehearse this whole tour and shoot this video, which is what we just did at Bard. I was gonna do it somewhere in a loft in New York or rent a big empty space, but the fact that we've been able to do it at Bard with all this crew helping us and all these resources has just been a godsend.
I heard your upcoming album is like a multi-platform album. It has like an art gallery attached to it. Like, what exactly inspired you to do something like that?
Well, I've kind of always been like that. Every record I've put out has been weird and expansive.
Okay.
But that's because I'm also really into visual art, and I mean, I like doing everything. I'm a songwriter, and that's great, but I really love making videos, making theater, collaborating with visual artists, doing all of it. And so every time I put out an album, it's kind of an excuse to hang a bunch of other shit on it and, call up all my painter friends and say, hey, it's record time, like everybody make painting.
Right.
So this is also, and I kickstarted the record, and that was really successful, and part of why it was successful is you could order all of these things, and one of them is like this really beautiful, fancy coffee table art book with a bunch of really gorgeous commissioned art that goes along, kind of inspired by the songs. So it's basically, it's like a CD booklet this thick and hardback with all the lyrics, but all these paintings and photos of sculptures and things that people get inspired by the record.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Okay, so we have a lot of artists at Bard. It's a really artsy-fartsy kind of deal. Do you have any advice?
Stop making art. It's a total waste of time.
Well.
No, just kidding. Make art.
Not war.
I mean, I've actually, like, wandering around, I've been talking to a lot of the students and hanging out with, some of the campus musicians and bands.
Right.
And it seems like Bard seems like a pretty fertile place. It's clearly, like, when I went to Wesleyan, it was also really isolated like this, but, it was sort of more in a town, whereas Bard's really, it's in the middle of nowhere. So clearly, like, if you're not getting something going on here, you're going to be really unhappy. I think the hardest thing for me as an undergrad artist is that I kind of felt like my whole environment was superficial. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the real world.
Yeah.
And that bothered me. And it kind of, I mean, I was right. It wasn't the real world. Like, you're on this campus, you know, everything's kind of in a bubble, especially here if you're like in this...
The Bard bubble, yeah.
Well, and there was the Wesleyan bubble, but it never occurred to me to kind of take advantage of that. I just like desperately wanted to be part of the real world and desperately didn't want to be in the bubble. And I think, you know, if I were me now going back, I think I'd have a field day. But when I was 17, 18, 19, like it wasn't a good fit. But I wish I could kind of go back and give my 18-year-old self the perspective that like the real world is not going to go away.
Yeah.
It's going to be out there when you leave. And I wish I had sort of like connected more and, you know, and just taken advantage of the things that were around.
Right.
I found it really hard to do for some reason, and I think, you know, as also trying to identify as an artist, you're also in that really awkward place in college where people don't totally take you seriously.
Yeah.
And that sucks. Yeah. And I've been talking about it with some of the faculty and stuff at Bard, and they seem to actually be pretty groovy, most of them, is, you know, the art that you're making is legitimate. And I think that's maybe the reminder I would give to anyone who's like at this stage. Just because you're in college and you might feel a little patronized, or you might feel even like internally that you're in this superficial environment, the art that you're making is totally legit, it's totally real, it's totally important. You're raising your hand. You're just saying yes. You're just like +1. Plus, you're like +1,000. No, it really is. I think that's just an important thing to remind you. Right. It's like your art is your art. It totally counts. Just because you're in college doesn't mean, you know, it's sub-art. Right. And yeah.
Last question. I know a lot of people that come to Bard, they kind of weirded out by things they see here. Have you seen anything that's like, just like, whoa, like what the hell is up with that guy? Like, the weirdest thing you've seen by far yet?
I haven't seen anything weird. Maybe just because I'm tuned to a special frequency that thinks everything's pretty normal. Okay. Some of the Tivoli locals are like more impressive than anything weird I've seen at Bard.
Yeah.
Overheard at Bard?
Yeah.
I know you did a tweet about that.
Yeah. Some of the people I've been meeting are just wonderful. I really like. There's a band on campus, Dr. Skinny Bones, and we actually kind of like collaborated on writing songs. Together, inspired by Tivoli local. It's pretty exciting. But yeah, actually, I hope I'm going to be back here. It looks like I'll be back here in the spring.
Alright, well, we would love to have you back. Because
I will come back again.
And when you do, we should get you for another interview. In the meantime, you guys make sure to check out her upcoming album, Theater's Evil, working with the band...
The Grand Theft Orchestra.
I love that name.
It came from Twitter. Someone suggested it.
There you go. You can be famous from tweeting. Thank you very much, Amanda.
Thank you.